Welcome back to another episode of 8158 Podcast Stories of Sacrifice. Today, we're talking with someone who has dedicated his career to serving his community and is now stepping into the race for sheriff, Joe Danna. Joe brings years of law enforcement experience, a heart for leadership, and a vision for building stronger connections between deputies and the people they serve. In this conversation, he opens up about his journey, the challenges of running for office, the importance of supporting first responder wellness, and the legacy he hopes to leave behind. This episode is about service, leadership, and the sacrifice that comes with protecting others. Let's dive in with Joe.
You're listening to 8158 Stories of Sacrifice, where we honor the bravery of the first responders and the families who stand behind them. Real people, real stories, real heroes. This is 8158. Welcome back to another episode of 8158 Podcast Stories of Sacrifice. Today's guest, we have a very honorable guest. His name is Joe Danna. He is running for Harris County Sheriff. He's an awesome guy. So let's give Joe a warm welcome. How's it going, Joe?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me as your guest today.
You're very welcome, and we are very honored to have you. You know, it's always an honor to have law enforcement and first responders come on here, especially ones that really want to make change.
Yeah, well, you've got one right here. That's why I've been running. That's why I've been running, as I mentioned, for 8 years down here. Ran in 2020, and I ran in 2024, and we're going to do it again. Third time's a charm, they say, right?
Third time's a charm, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your why. What first drew you to law enforcement and now inspiring you to run for sheriff? Obviously, you've been asked that question many times, but
Sure. Some say that know me very well. They say it's in my DNA. I'm sure you've heard that before, but it is. I actually feel like I just graduated from the academy, even though I did it 32 years ago, yesterday. Because I have a burning desire to take care of people. I grew up in a large Italian Catholic family here in Houston, Harris County. Been here all my life. 8 sisters and a brother. So I've been taking care of people all my life. Crazy. My first 26 years was in the film developing business. 32 years ago, I traded my camera and all my chemicals in for a gun. And I've never looked back. I love it. I love taking care of folks. Harris County, I guess just like the rest of the country, they need help. The civilians need help from law enforcement more than you can imagine. You probably understand it dealing with first responders, but the average citizen has no idea what kind of help people call me about it. It's just amazing. But I decided to run because I had found we have the third largest sheriff department in the country, 5,000 men and women. Huge. We have 7 million residents in Harris County, round numbers. So it's big responsibility, huge. And we don't need politicians running it. I'm anything but that. I have thousands of friends over there that was hoping I'd win in 2020. COVID got the best of the election. Won't go into it, but I really think we would have won first place instead of second. If we didn't have to go through the issues of COVID and electing and approving drive-through voting and on and on and on. And then 2024, we had four candidates running, including myself. And one of them, the one that won first place, I never say I lost. We always win something. We won second place again. He didn't even have the credentials to put his name on the ballot. That goes to show you our lack of integrity. Horrible. So here I am again. We have a very unique situation down here. We have a judge administrative judge over Harris County, the Commissioner's Court.
Mm-hmm.
We've been hearing rumors since January she's going to step down. And she just announced last week that she's not going to run again. So the next step is she's going to hopefully step down.
Yeah.
And if she does, the Commissioner's Court, we've been here since January, they're going to appoint the sheriff. The sheriff is Ed Gonzalez. So they're going to appoint him in her seat.
Okay.
And if that takes place, if he steps down less than 50% of his terms, and our terms are 4 years, which I believe most of the countries are, it'll be 1 year. He got sworn in last year. So if he gets appointed there temporarily to the judge seat, there has to be a special election held. The election code says so we're looking at March for the primary. And I just did this a year ago, and that's huge. When you're 120 like me, 2 years sooner is like 2 decades. I mean, this is huge. And I cranked up the campaign. I never stopped campaigning. I know how bad these 5,000 men and women, they need a true law enforcement officer. And it makes me sick to my stomach to see what goes on down here. It's just amazing. But I guess it's really not compared to the rest of I see all over social media and I read headlines about other law enforcement agencies, the kind of problems they have. But it's just lack of common sense. That's the bottom line. It's lack of common sense. They're all about themselves. We need a sheriff. Everybody needs a sheriff that understands this job is not about him or her.
Right.
You know, it's about the 5,000 or 4,000 or 200, whatever you have. It's about them. It's not about the sheriff.
Yep.
And all of my ideas, the organizational chart that I spent 1.5 years developing, it's all common sense. It's all basically common sense, and it's a very effective organizational chart. I didn't mean to ramble on, but that's basically why I'm running. I'm not going to quit. I made a commitment and a promise in 2020. I'm not going away. Okay. I don't even have to know anything about law enforcement, just to be integrity. Just tell the truth, accountability, and that wins over a ton of votes. But I do. I have 32 years experience of all this. It's crazy. But I wanted to mention before we get too much further into the podcast, I've watched your podcast, and you do a great job, and your guests do a great job, and you have some heroes. You have some true heroes, but I'm not one of them. I spent 20 years at the constable's office down here. And the biggest thing I did was serve divorce papers to females that would come up and hug me and God bless you. Yeah. So I'm not a hero. I've spent a lot of my time working every division down here at the constable's office at Precinct 1 because I was a go-getter. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like I graduated from the academy yesterday. So I'm still full of piss and vinegar type thing, ready to go. Crazy.
Well, you still have the experience. You've been in law enforcement for 30 something years. You obviously have a drive for leadership, and you have the integrity, and you obviously have the ability to discern what the job entails. It's not about the person, it is about the people, right?
Exactly.
That's what the people need.
That's what the troops need. They need somebody that's got their back, and they don't have that now.
Exactly. They need to know that somebody's got their back and that they're going to be there for them, and hold them accountable if they're out of line too. But that's a big job. That is a big job.
It's a big job. But you know what? If you handle the organizational chart the way we have it designed, and basically the real basic common sense approach is one person, most of the experts will agree to this, one person can only effectively manage 3 to 5 people. Okay? So the sheriff has 5 assistants, whether it's a chief deputy or whatever. They each have 3 to 5. They each have 3 to 5. Okay. I see something on TV or down the road or something. I don't go call the the patrol guy on the streets. Hey, what's going on? You call one of those 3 to 5 people, and it's very organized and it's very effective. Okay, that's what that's what it's all about. You have to have an organizational chart, and they don't have one. There's so much animosity right now amongst the troops. We have to build, number one, we have to build the integrity amongst the troops.
Yeah.
I mean, and supervision by intimidation runs rampant down here. You do it because I said I'm your sergeant, so you go do it. I'm your captain, you go do it. You know what I mean? And I know that goes on all over the country. That will stop. That's not how you make everybody part of a team. They all need to know they're part of one team. So, and there's a lot of ways to do that, but the basic way to do that is like you just said, and I mentioned, you got to get their back. They have to know, you've got their back. One other big deal the Sheriff's Department does not have any longer. Are you familiar with reserve deputies?
Not really. No. I mean, I've heard of reserve officers, police officers.
They are unpaid officers. Okay. They volunteer their time. And the Sheriff's Department, Harris County Sheriff's Department used to have 500 to 600. Now, as of a month and a half ago, they have 98. 98. They've ran them off. They started. They wouldn't let the captains wear their bars and stripes for sergeants, and they were like nobody. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of cadets out here, and that's not how you treat people. So the very first thing we'll do is build back the reserve program. I could put on 200 reserves the first 30 days, and those reserves will go out. And there's tons of things that they can do. They can go talk to schools. They can talk to juveniles, the teachers. They can go teach IT courses. You know what I mean? They can go write tickets in school zones. They can do patrol. They can do everything the full-time paid officers do for nothing. And I talked about that for 8 years. That just didn't seem to draw any attention with the voters. It's like I don't know. I can't imagine someone not liking that. They have full-time. They have a hot team. Most of their programs are dog and pony. Okay, they have hot team, homeless outreach team, and they have full-time deputies out there trying to help the homeless. Well, they certainly need help. There's no question about that. But you don't need full-time deputies. Put them in the streets. Answer some calls, CFS calls. So put the reserves out there. Get the uniform on, the badge, the gun, and get out there and help these folks.
Right.
There's just so much that needs to be done. So much. But they're so worried about their political careers. This is a stepping stone to maybe run for mayor. We had a sheriff step down to run for mayor. He lost. He ran for something else. He lost. But now he's a commissioner. He did run so it's like we mentioned earlier. It needs to be about the troops and not about the sheriff. Man, we would have a backing that this place would turn around. Harris County wouldn't be fighting Chicago for the murder capital of the murder, the highest murder in the city. 1 week at Chicago, 1 week at Harris County. It's just horrible. Of course, they got the federal troops up there now, don't they? Or do they yet?
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot going on down there. Go ahead.
That's kind of what they need right now.
Oh yeah. Politicians don't think so. At least one side of the party doesn't. But yeah, they do. They need help. They'd rather see him die, killed.
Yep. It's a sad state of affairs to see, greed get in the way of, I know there's a lot of things behind the scenes with politics. Money is a huge thing.
Follow the money.
Yep. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, sure it is. I mean, human trafficking down in Harris County, we are the hub of human trafficking. They do nothing. When I ran in 2020, We did an open records request to see how many investigations they did on human trafficking. 4 years, they did 2. And then you go look at the sheriff's campaign funds or his coffers and see who gives him money. It's all these strip club owners. I mean, is that really what your maker put you down here for? You know what I mean? It makes me sick. It makes me sick. No, I know tons of people. I have 4 or 5 good friends around the country that do nothing but human trafficking, investigate it. And they say, Joe, we just can't get sheriffs to help us. And they would love a strong sheriff, you know what I mean, that will do the right thing.
Yeah.
So horrible.
Yeah, human trafficking is a very big issue in this country. And, you know, I've talked with Sheriff Mark Lamb. He's retired now out of Arizona.
I met him. He was here 2-3 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know,
yeah.
I talked with him and he told me about the human trafficking and stuff like that. And it's just crazy. It's heartbreaking. It's disgusting, and it pisses me off what they're doing with these people.
Yeah.
It's women and children, you know.
All it takes is for you to sit down with some of the parents, which I've done. And they show, we need you in there, Joe. I want to find my daughter. You know what I mean? It's heartbreaking to think that nobody in the law enforcement realm cares. You know what I mean? Let's put it this way. They don't care enough to do something about it. So yeah, it's brutal. And the drugs, I know Mark Lamb had tons of publicity down there in Arizona about the drugs in the border, you know, in the last 4 years. So
yeah,
okay, he's a good guy. Good guy.
Yeah.
Too bad he didn't. Wouldn't he run for senator or U.S. Congress?
Senate. Yeah.
Yeah. He would have been good.
Yeah, he would have had some integrity in there, you know.
That's the bottom line.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. Integrity and accountability, and what kills me, Rico, is the guys that know me, you know, that are close to me, that actually know who I am and what kind of person I am, where my heart is.
Right.
If the voters knew that, we would be in there. In 2020, we received 700,000 votes. 47% of it. We didn't win, but we came close. We have 2.5 million registered voters. I'm not sure what you have in your county, but it's big. It's big.
Yeah.
And 65 to 75% vote. So you need 800,000 or 900,000. We had 700 round numbers. So it's amazing. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up.
Yeah. Don't quit. Do not give up, because they need somebody like you in there to, you know, balance out the scales. Bring them back to where it should be.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I can't quit. Like I said, I made a promise and a commitment in 2020, and I keep my promises and I keep my commitments.
Exactly.
So we have a very large, well-known furniture guy here called Mattress Mac. He makes all these. Everybody just loves him. Huge guy. And I was in his office. I was in his furniture store after the 2020. And he saw me. He said, Joe Danna. I said, hey, Mac. He said, you going to run again in 2024? I said, Mac, I'm going to run for sheriff until I win or until I die. He goes, way to go, Joe. Way to go. He got all excited because he knows me. He knows Harris County needs a sheriff like Joe Danna.
Yeah.
So never quit. Never quit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of things about Harris County, and it's.
What kind of things, Rico?
We heard about the suicides with the officers in the county. There was like 4 of them within
4 a week. Yeah.
That was pretty sad.
Oh yeah.
That was really
unprecedented. Sad. Unprecedented too. I don't know anybody in law enforcement has lost 4 in 1 week. Maybe it was 2 weeks, but yeah.
You know, so those are some of the pressing issues that we kind of work towards and try to speak out and get the word out to, you know, and also we do talk to other organizations that can help first responders. So we don't just talk to, first responders themselves. We try to get with organizations and get them on here so that they have an outlet to turn to. So we're trying to be more than just a podcast and helping the word get out. We're trying to get other people involved.
Yeah.
To get people connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Spread the news. People need to know. I see a lot of that on social media. Of course, running for office, good or bad, social media is out there and you got to take advantage of it. And I follow a bunch of good organizations, including your podcast. So I'm not sure how you found me. It doesn't really matter, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
There's a ton of good organizations out there. And animal cruelty is another huge issue down here. You just can't get people interested. I mean, you have the associations, the organizations that are interested, but you've got to get that out to the public. You know what I mean? And that's what these reserves will do. Reserves can go talk to folks, civics clubs, town halls. You know what I mean? Get them out there 2 or 3 at a time at no charge to the taxpayer. I just don't understand why people, and they used to have 500 or 600. They just beat them down and beat them down. I don't know if you've heard about Harris County. I thought you were going to mention something about our jail. We have about 10,000 inmates. Mm-hmm. We're shipping inmates out of state, costing us a ton of money, which is ridiculous. But we've had approximately 50 inmates die in jail in the last 8 years.
Yeah,
horrible. Nobody cares. Nobody seems to care.
We did an interview with a kid. He was 20, and he was he worked in the Harris County jail, and he was a really, really great kid, really good personality. He wants to be a deputy. That's what he aspires to, and he kind of told us, he didn't give any real details, but he told us about his stories and stuff like that, and He aspires to be a deputy. That's what he wants to do. He wants to be a K-9 deputy.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Ever since he was a little kid.
Oh, wow. It's in his DNA.
Yeah.
Well, back in 2020, Rico, I had about 150 DO detention officers behind our campaign. And they said, Joe, if you don't win, because they're making us work 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. I mean, these folks have families, men and women. They all have families and lives. Not as far as the sheriff's department is concerned. They made them work all these hours, and they said we're quitting. We're walking out. 150, and we need deputies, a detention officer, so bad. Well, guess what? As I mentioned, we won second place, so I didn't win, and they walked out, and now they're suing the county, and all those lawsuits take maybe 9, 10 years, and they never get their job back. They may get some compensation, but that's how bad it was. 150 walked out. I had pictures. They sent me pictures of all of them, most of them sleeping. You know what I mean? And they've got inmates that are smoking pot, and it's just amazing what goes on in the jail. 10,000 people.
Right.
Crazy. And there's, like I say, they're shipping them out, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
Really doesn't. I had a captain that come over my house one time that finally retired, and so many of them are retiring. He came over, and that was the last time very, very nice guy. That's the last time I asked somebody over that I don't know. He spent 5 hours here. I said, man, I got to go. I got things to do. I got to show you one more thing. But it was a very, very interesting subject. Have you ever heard of ghost deputies?
No.
Ghost deputies are deputies that are assigned to a floor, let's say second floor, and on paper, they're assigned to floor 3 and floor 7 so they can hit the requirements. It's just names on a piece of paper. He showed it to me. He said, Joe, they don't care. They put a detention officer on floor 2, and on the name on the log sheet, he's on 6, he's on 7. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
What would be the purpose of that? For funding or?
No, for the state, the state jail inspection.
Okay.
They haven't passed an inspection in 5 years. Big rumor about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, is that the state was going to take over the jail. I hear the sheriff doesn't want the jail. Of course, that's his number one responsibility is the jail. But he doesn't want it. He wants to go out and PR, and he's a very nice guy. Matter of fact, I called him 18 months before the 2020. This goes to show you my integrity. Okay, I called him about 18 months before the election, and I said, Sheriff, I said, I'm just letting you know that I'm going to run in 2020, and these are the reasons why. And he said, Joe, here's my cell number. You call me anytime, anything I can do. He's just a very nice guy. And then I called the former sheriff that he beat, Ron Hickman. He moved out of Harris County. I said, about 18 months out from 2020, year and a half. I said, Ron, you thinking about coming back to Harris County to run for sheriff? He said, Hell, no. He said, Joe, you put your name on the ballot. We know you. A lot of the folks know you. You need to win this thing. And that's what Ron said. But you got to get across to the voters. And people, this is something else I mentioned in the last podcast I did. The host, like yourself, he said, Joe, how do you think you're going to win sheriff in a Democratic county that you have? Mm-hmm. I said, you know what, Chris? I said, it's not really my job to win. That's God's job. If he wants me in there, I'll get in there. Nobody's going to get in my way. But it's my job to do due diligence, to do everything possible to get my name out there and let people know my plans, the organizational chart, and where I've come from my heart, how I was raised. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and he kind of sat back. He said, yeah, but how about all the cheating, the Democrats? I said, I don't care about Democrats. I don't care about Republicans. Right. The Democrat needs help. We'll go out there. Republican. The country, I just don't get into parties anymore. You have to be associated with the party, okay, to run. That's the election code, I guess, in most places. But that's not important to me. I'm not focused on the parties. So, and the guy that won first place in the primary, the one that didn't have the credentials to put his name on the ballot, but he did, the party kind of handpicked him. We call it puppets, you know that. So yeah, anyway, it's nuts, crazy, but zero integrity down here. It's just horrible.
So in what ways do you plan on unifying the department with the community?
Real easy. It's called accountability. Okay. You have these town hall meetings and you let them know what we're doing. The very first committee that we will form is we have approximately 75 law enforcement agencies, okay, in Harris County. That's a ton. We will form a committee and we will meet. You call it whatever you want, but we'll meet every quarter. The head of each one of these 75 law enforcement agencies and their assistants, you know what I mean, and get them together once every 3 months and say, hey, what is working for you guys and what is not? I mean, you got a lot of egos down here, you know that, but if you put it to them like, hey, we just want to get some information. We want to know what you guys are doing that's working, and what are you doing that's not? And you meet every quarter. Man, we will refine law enforcement in Harris County like you've never seen before. Yeah, some of them will drop out and some probably won't come. But if you could get half of them, you know what I mean? You've got to, and they have to be part of the team, law enforcement team in Harris County, just like the sheriff's department. And if they see a leader, if they see a sheriff making those types of moves to get people together, you know what I mean? And we also need a committee put together by citizens, okay? Whether it's lawyers or folks that cut grass or any, just and have that rotated, okay? They last for about 3 months and you meet every month. And you say, hey, what do you guys need from the sheriff department? First of all, we need to let them know what the sheriff department does. 90%, Rico, it's crazy. 90% of the people I ask, what is the name of the sheriff? They have no clue. The sheriff, they say, Adrian Garcia? No, he's the one that lost 3 or 4 years ago. So they need to know what the sheriff is all about, and they need to know what the sheriff department is capable of doing to help them, to provide safe neighborhoods. They don't have a clue. People are busy. I know that. But if you stay in front of them, you have town hall meetings weekly if you have to. Hey, if we have 200, 300, 400 reserves, we can have them weekly.
Right.
Teach folks how to teach senior citizens how to use iPhone. You know what I mean? You can actually, since not texting, but driving with your phone here in Texas, you can actually drive and look up maps and music. It's legal. Crazy, but it is. I mean, maps make sense. Teach people how to drive and do that, not text. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Teach them how to do that. Throw courses. Okay, guys, you need like DOT. Texas has a DOT rule that you're supposed to look behind you every 3 to 5 seconds. Yeah. Well, you need to do the same thing. You need to teach these people driving these cars with all these distractions. I mean, it's unbelievable the distractions you have these days. And now you got cars driving themselves. You're fixing to have 18-wheelers driving themselves. But teach these people how to drive and glance at their phone. A map, okay? I'm telling you, the reserves can get out there and just do wonders. And then the public say, oh, my God, I didn't know the sheriff department did this. I didn't know they did this. They come out and talk to us about these folks, the construction people coming out and hit and run type thing. When you have a storm, we get a lot of hailstorms down there, and you get all these contractors coming from different states and, that are not good. They hit and run, they get the down payment. They can talk to them about all that stuff. They're not doing any of that. It's crazy. So the public needs to know, bottom line is they need to know what the sheriff department can do for them.
Right.
Much less know his name. It's really not important that they know my name, but they need to know the Harris County Sheriff is doing something for the community.
Right.
And meet with them, like I said, once a month. And what do you need from us? We can do this. What do you need from us to make your, my kid, you don't know how many calls I get from my kid won't listen to me and they ran away and they do this. Oh my God. Can you pick him up, put him in jail? Oh, how many times do I hear that? Right. So there's so much can be done. Go ahead.
Well, what you're saying is, which, I don't understand why people wouldn't want this, is that you can utilize your reserve deputies to do community outreach.
Exactly.
That way your paid deputies can do their actual job. Answer
calls, CFS calls, detectives. Yes. We have homicides every night here. Every night. You wake up. I get up early in the morning. I'm on the computer watching the news. Somebody gets shot and killed every night. So they have a full-time job just working homicides. You know what I mean? So yeah, the reserves can go out there and do all kinds of community outreach, as you mentioned, and let the full-time deputies do their jobs. Right. That's common sense. It all gets back to all my close cop friends that I talk to on a daily basis. They all say the same thing. Joe, it's common sense. They all come from agencies all over the county, and man, they're doing this and what. Common sense.
Right.
It's crazy.
Seems like a win-win situation there.
100%. How could you go wrong with it? But people vote for people for different reasons. You know that. Tall, short, fat, skinny, whatever. They have parties, no party. A lot of people say all the time right before the elections, they say, get out and vote, get out and vote. They get on TV and the radio, everybody get out and vote. We don't need everybody to get out and vote. We need informed voters. People that, okay, what's this guy all about? What's this guy all about? And try to understand the difference. Somebody's just PRing and telling people what they want to hear. You know what I mean?
Right.
People ask me, oh my God, during these, during these forums that we have, every once in a while you'll get somebody coming, do you believe in abortion? Oh my God. What on earth does that have to do with running a sheriff's department? And I tell them, and I say it in a very nice way, I don't share my personal opinions. When they ask me that question, I do say I was born and raised Catholic. I said, maybe that'll help. But
Yeah.
You don't share. I don't share my personal opinions with something that has nothing to do with running the sheriff's department. If it's illegal, we're going to put them in jail. If it's not illegal, that's the legislature. Got nothing to do with the sheriff's department. So you get all kinds of obviously crazy questions, and you get all these feedback and these comments on social media. As I mentioned earlier, it's something. It's good and bad, and you got to take it with a grain of salt. The first time I ran, they got on there. My wife, Joe Danna, he's just an old white guy, a rich guy who lives in a $4 million house. Well, they're 0 for 3. Oh, well, they're right. I'm white, but I'm not rich. I don't live in a $4 million. And she said, give me that kid. You know what they said after that? They said, and his wife doesn't even work. Oh, my gosh. He said, give me that keyboard. I said, no, Don. No. Don't fall in that trap. So and that's the other thing, just as you well know, politics in general is so dirty.
Yes.
So dirty. People, and I'll never understand it. These candidates that treat other people this way, do they really think they're going to be here forever? Right. Do they never think they're going to meet their maker? Do they think it's that important, you know what I mean, to get behind a candidate or to be a candidate to cut the other guy down like that? That's ridiculous. I could have talked about all kinds of things about the sheriff. I never did. The human trafficking, I never talked about that. I just talked about what we're going to do, you know what I mean, for human trafficking. We're going to open a division for human trafficking with a hub of the country. So with politics, it's just people say, oh, Joe, it's politics. I say, yes, politics, but I'm not a politician. He said, no, you're running for public office. I said, I understand that. But if you want to talk about politics and I'm the sheriff, we're going to have a little 12-foot by 12-foot cubicle over there. We'll put 2 employees over there, and you can talk about politics. We're going to go take care of your neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Right.
Common sense. Common freaking sense. Anyway, politics is brutal. Trump's seen it. You've seen it. Everybody's seen it. Ridiculous.
A lot of times we know that when you're trying to be a leader and as somebody who has faced leadership obstacles, what's been the toughest challenge in your campaign, and what lessons have you been able to take away from that?
Boy, that's a real good question. And very few people ask me that, if none. The biggest challenge in campaigning is getting the voters or the public to believe you. Mm-hmm. They're so fed up with politics. You get up in front of them and, yeah, you just need a job. Or, yeah, you say this now, but wait till you get in there. You know what I mean? That's the biggest challenge. When I tell somebody something, I mean it. And that's what I'm going to do. You know, I was born and raised with integrity. And at this stage of the game, I ain't changing that. You know what I mean? Nothing in this life has to offer me for me to make those kind of decisions to where, now it's all about me. I got elected. But the biggest challenge is when you tell people something and they come back with, yeah, but what about this? I said, I just told you that, so that's a huge challenge. You're up here with 4 other candidates and they're all talking about what they're going to do. And, you know what I mean? Basically, it's the same thing. And so that's a huge challenge. And how you take that forward is you have to give them examples of what you've done, what you say you're going to do in the past, have said what you're going to do, and you've done it. I've been when I was 19 years old, I had real long hair and a ponytail. I was over 75 men and women in a photo lab, the largest photo lab here, Walgreens Drug Company. We had a huge, and here I was 19 years old, and all these men and women, most of them were older than me, most of them. And I got them in my office when I could, and I talked them into buying stock in Walgreens. I said, look, Walgreens doesn't pay very well, but they have some great benefits, insurance, stock option, you know what I mean? So I led that whole photo lab, 75 men and women, 10 men and actually 75 women. And that's how I did it. And they all looked up to me and they all respected me for doing that. I cared about them. And you got to show people appreciation. That's besides letting the deputies or the employees know that you have their back. They have to know they're appreciated. Yeah, money's important. There's no question about that. They're in a big tug of war now about raises because HPD, Houston Police Department, just got a huge raise over the next 6 years. And the county said, hey, we're fixing to lose a whole lot of people. And they already have the HPD. Okay. So money is important, but that's not the number one motivating factor to keep people motivated. Okay. Go tap them, pat them on the shoulder, shake their hand, get out there and tell them they're doing a good job or tell them they're not doing a good job. They have to think they're appreciated. Yeah, that's human nature. And they don't do that here. The supervision by intimidation is just the opposite. And the IAD department, that's another, there's tons of them. The IAD department down here, they got officers that have been in there for years. Well, they need term limits, okay? 2 years. And the ones that are in there said, no, it takes us longer than that. Well, it shouldn't take you longer than 2 years to hear a case and make some corrective actions. 2 years, and they're gone. And the other thing they need to do is this is what they're doing. Traffic stops. Somebody gets upset because you say something wrong. They get their lip all burned out of shape, and they file a complaint. It goes straight to IAD. That's ridiculous. What's the sergeants? What's the captains? What's the lieutenants on, over patrol? So IAD needs to, and they get in there and they got their own little their ivory tower. And all of a sudden they're going after officers that are messing with people they don't like. You know what I mean? It's just intimidation. And it's horrible. And I'm sure a lot of them are that way. But Harris County is that way big time. And they'll tell you that. But so they need to change things.
Yeah, I would have never thought of that they would need term limits on internal affairs. But you're right. That does make sense. I mean, especially if you have the wrong person in that position that has a grudge against somebody.
My God, a girlfriend or a guy doing this with his wife. Yeah, it's brutal. And it happens. A good friend of mine had a complaint, and it lasted over a year. It could have been settled in a meeting across from me. And the whole time, Rico, he's sitting on neat pins and needles. What am I going to do? Going to get rid of me or going to tie him up?
Right.
So it's going to affect his job and the way he conducts his business. You know what I mean? Hell, it's tough enough these days being a cop on the street. You know that.
Right.
Since body cams came out, it's of course they're good. Don't get me wrong, but that's changed the outlook on police work, especially the First Amendment auditors. Sticking those things in your face. So.
I don't like those guys.
Yeah, a lot of things need to change, and when those 5,000 folks, and I think it's down to 4,500 actually. If they see the sheriff making those kind of changes, they're going to get behind him. They're going to get out there. When they get a call, a burglary call or some type of CFS call, and they're drinking coffee, they're eating breakfast. Yeah, that's clear. Show me en route. Well, they're going to finish their coffee. They're going to finish. I get some more eggs. They don't care. Yeah. They'll go make the call, but no. You get a sheriff that cares about them, get out, shakes their hand, rides with them type thing. Right. I got to go. Ma'am, I got to go. I got to call. I got to get, you know what I mean?
Got to get out.
Now, you're not going to affect everybody that way. I understand that, but you're going to affect the majority of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to say was it sounds like it's a misappropriation of, community funding to have internal affairs dealing with minor traffic stop complaints. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what your shift sergeants or your shift commanders are for?
Exactly.
Isn't that their job?
Exactly. But they don't want to mess with it because they don't want to make a decision. We're just in this idea, let them deal with it. Right. Ridiculous. Nobody wants to make a decision down here because of higher up. the brass. They may not view them as the kind of captain or whatever that we need in this department. It's out of control. It's out of control. As I mentioned, there's roughly 75 police agencies here. Constables, police, ISDs, tons. Sheriff. There's 8 constables in Harris County, and that's huge. And the largest one has like 500 to 600, I believe, deputies or employees. So we have a lot of law enforcement here, but they're not on the same page. Radios don't talk to each other. Yeah, they have mutual aid channels, but they don't talk to each other. You know what I mean? And that's something else that's a problem. It's so crazy. Houston Police Department, they have like 6,000 radio channels. When I met with them during the Super Bowl here in 2017, I was in charge. They asked me to be in charge of all the motorcycle escorts here. I said, yeah, put me down. They said, we don't want to do any of them. Only one we want to do are the 2 teams. So in 2017, I was in charge. I got solo officers all over the state come down here. 2 or 3 spent the night in my house in Loxton PD. So, and HPD gave me 12, 15 handheld radios, whatever you need, Joe, whatever you need. Well, okay. And man, it was a challenge. It was a challenge because, woo. So anyway, it's a big deal, but they have 6,000 channels in HPD. But the county, we have a very few channels that talk to them. That's unheard of. You got the county and you got all these cities in here and all these agencies, school shootings or whatever, ISD, they need to communicate with these folks.
Right.
So that's why you need to get these leaders together. Right. What can we do to talk to you guys? What can our deputies do to talk to your officers? That type thing. So much good could come out of that if they would just get it together and do it.
So you need better communication between departments and between the leader heads.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I mean,
common sense.
Common sense, but a lot of people are bullheaded anyways. But
they all got egos. They're bullheaded. You're right. They got egos. They don't like so-and-so over here. And, of course, most of their employees have gotten fired or quit, and they go to some other agencies. And, you know what I mean? You have all that, especially with 75 agencies. You're going to get a whole lot of that stuff. Yeah. But they still need to come together for the better of the citizens, of the taxpayers. They deserve it. They pay for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But somebody got to spearhead it.
Yes.
The sheriff would be the perfect person to spearhead that.
Right. Exactly. The sheriff is constitutionally bound to his duties, and hopefully that would be you.
Well,
somebody with integrity.
That's up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what he wants, you're going to get it.
Nobody's going to get in my way.
And then hopefully you'll get some cooperation with, the other agencies and stuff like that to kind of bridge that gap between the departments. And then when that is accomplished, you can bridge the gap between the departments and the communities.
You're right. And I think I will. There's some very famous attorneys down here. Rusty Hardin is one of them. And he said, it's not about the facts that you share with the jury. It's how you present them. You know what I mean? So it's how you present your programs to the other heads of the departments around here. You know what I mean? Hey, get together. We're going to do this. And the sheriff's department, oh my God, we got a sheriff that's going to put his hand down. No, that's not what it's about. We're trying to better the neighborhood, to make the neighborhood safer. And we want to know your ideas. Would you mind sharing them with us? What works and what doesn't? It's that simple. Now, like I said, some of them won't show up, but I really think if they understand I don't have any ulterior motive to doing this, I think that's important, because that's what kind of politics you get. Joe's just trying to do this and do. No, that's not what I'm trying to do at all.
You're just trying to be you.
Yeah, exactly right. What's right here? What's in my heart?
Right.
But we shall see.
Only Lord knows what's in your heart, and He's got you. He's watching.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we're not going to be here forever. We're not going to be here forever. So you better do the right thing. All these clowns that are doing these crazy, outrageous things, I always put comments. I say, you know what? I said, this guy better figure it out before he meets his maker. Because it might be pretty quick.
Right.
And I know some people, everybody believes something different, but some people believe that when you're dead, you go away. But I ain't taking that chance. Okay. It ain't no way. I was raised Catholic, and I was raised, there is a God. Okay. You call him whatever you want, maker. That's why I say maker. But he's going to judge you one day. You're going to look back and say, what the heck did you do down there?
Right.
And
there will be no gavel this time.
What's that?
There will be no gavel this time.
That's right. That's right. When I get to those pearly gates, I don't want to have to climb over them. I want somebody to be there to open those babies up. Come on in, Joe. Crazy.
That's right. When people are, saying negative things to you on social media, you kind of talked about how you just kind of let that go. We call those trolls.
Yeah.
Because that's all they're doing is trying to troll, trying to get your goat, trying to get you to act and respond in a negative way because they're trying to get a reaction from you.
Sure.
We see that a lot. Even with the podcasts, we just delete them. We're like, just go away. You don't mean, what you say doesn't matter because we have a mission. We're on a mission and we're going to continue with our mission. All this other side stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to see them.
And they'll always be there. Those trolls will always be there.
Yeah.
That's not what you're interested in.
Push them aside to say, we got
somebody else.
Exactly. We got better things to do than mess with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
you have a mission.
You're what?
Focused on your mission. You have a mission, right? You're focused on your mission. And you just get after that mission, and then all the negative Nancy's out there and all the trolls, none of that matters.
That's right.
It's what your mission is.
That's right.
What you were led to do, what God's leading you to do. That's your mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Crazy. But as far as going back to the very beginning of the podcast here, your heroes, you've got some good folks that have some, and I have more than serving divorce papers, but I did work in every department of the constable's office, and it was a big department. We were the only ones at that time that ran juvenile warrants and mental warrants. People would go file a mental warrant on a friend or a family member. They called Precinct 1, which was the largest. We went and ran that. So I ran. The constable put me in charge of the HIADA, that's the Youth Independent Auto Dealers. And, I did them a lot of good. TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation here, all their head guys would always know who to call with any kind of issue in Harris County. It didn't have to be in Precinct 1. It was in Harris County. Call Joe Danna. You know what I mean? Because I took care of business. I took care of it. I'll never forget years ago, the annex where the patrol division worked out of, they had 24 computers, PCs, and I've been in it long enough till we didn't even have PCs. When people found out, when the sergeants and lieutenants found out I knew a little something about PCs, oh my God, my phone was ringing off the wall. How about this? How about that? Well, I asked the captain out there in the annex, Captain Harvey, I said, Captain, I said, these things have been sitting here for years or months. He said, 2 years. I said, oh my God. I said, you want me to take these out of the box and set them up? He said, Joe, I would love it. So I did it. He couldn't believe it. So the IT department of Harris County put them online, but to get them out, set them up, put the disc in, you know what I mean? That's the other thing. The TxDOT deal was huge. I also wrote the very first STEP program. Are you familiar with that? Traffic enforcement? Mm-hmm. Special. Okay. STEP is special traffic enforcement program. That's where the officers, the deputies would get time and a half to go write tickets for 4 hours.
Okay.
You'd have to pick a certain whether it's a speed limit, seat belts, intersection. Okay, you pick the program that you want. You go do a inventory, or you do some research on it. So I wrote the first one. Oh my God, they went nuts. They got time and a half to go write tickets. They loved it. So I got into all kinds of different realms of law enforcement. You know what I mean? At Precinct 1, when everybody else went and served their paper, I was assigned to the civil division, but I did search warrants. I never forget the chief deputy said, "You got a what? You got a search?" I said, "Well, chief, hang on. I got a search warrant." So I go to HPD. We didn't have anybody knock down doors, so it was felony. So I go to HPD, and the lieutenant, never forget him, Lieutenant Hanna, almost like Danna. He called his guys in. He said, "Hey, we're going to run this warrant," and they did. And it's just everything I got into. It was invigorating, and it was from the heart. You know what I mean, type thing. And here I am, 32 years later, and I'm going to clean this thing up. I'm going to clean it up. It's just, and it's common sense. I can't say that enough. Common sense. You got to have a plan, and I got a plan. But you got to pass the voters first. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, 700,000, you'd think you'd get in there. That's a lot of votes. It's a lot of name recognition, you know?
Yeah. You've been in it long enough. You would think that people would trust you enough to want to take that position.
But when it comes time to vote, they hear all the, and this is a presidential year, the voting for sheriff. It's always a presidential year every 4 years. So they get bombarded with all the political ads and, all the rhetoric and all the, you know what I mean? It's just, a lot of people don't even vote. They just don't. They'll find a friend. Who you going to vote for? Who you going to vote for? Well, I'm going to vote for this guy. I'm going to vote for that one. So you stay home, I stay home, and we'll, just like not voting for him.
Right.
It's nuts.
Right.
That's politics.
Brianne and I, we lean more towards the conservative side, but we don't necessarily vote conservative. We vote for the person. Does he have integrity? Does he mean what he says, or she? Are they going to do what they say that they're going to do? How well do we know this person? What have they done in the past? What are they going to do for the future? What are they going to do for the community? Or what are they going to do for the country? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I vote for the individual. I never vote for parties.
Right.
Matter of fact, in 2020, speaking of parties, Texas had a straight ticket voting. You could go in there and hit an R and a D, and you get all the Republicans, Democrats. Well, they eliminated that in 2020. And all these experts, Joe, you better get your ducks in a row because you're going to win that sheriff's race, because it's the first year there's no more straight ticket voting. They said what they're going to do is the Democrats are going to go in. They're going to go in and they're going to vote for president, a couple senators, a well-named whatever. They're going to go home. We had the second largest ballot in the country. We had like 40 pages. Oh my God. And they're just not going to go all the way down. Right. And I'd go to these talks and I say, look, we're going to, and law enforcement at the bottom, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to please turn back to page 42 and start at the bottom. That's where the sheriff's right. That's what law enforcement is. Right. And they said, really? I said, yeah, you can do that and go backward. Just vote for Joe Danna. Because anyway, that didn't happen. What happened is all the Democrats and all the Republicans, they went down to everyone. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you never know. Do you guys have straight ticket where you are voting?
They do. You could either vote Democratic or Republican, but you can vote for whoever you want.
Yeah, yeah.
So
that's the way it is here.
We chose who we felt would do the best job.
That's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
But it was a paper ballot. It wasn't in a computer.
Really?
Yeah. They scanned it. Yeah, it's paper ballot, and then they scan it through their Scantron.
We will return after this quick ad break.
The William H. Bill Butler Jr. Foundation is on a mission to honor first responders and support those who serve. We provide scholarships for families who have lost a hero in the line of duty, offer second chances to juvenile offenders who are working to rebuild their future, and help new recruits pursuing careers as first responders. Through generous donations and the sale of merchandise, we're building a community that uplifts, empowers, and creates lasting impact. You can be a part of this mission as well. Visit 8158podcast.com to donate or shop today. Together, we can support those who serve, honor those we've lost, and give hope to those who need it most. Behind every badge is a story, and behind every story is a sacrifice. This is the 8158 podcast, where we honor the lives and legacies of first responders and their families. If our mission speaks to your heart, if these stories move you like they move us, join us on Patreon. For just $5 a month, you'll get ad-free listening, exclusive merchandise, behind-the-scenes content, and video episodes only available to our patrons. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement, and you can be a part of it. Support us at patreon.com/8158podcast. Let's continue to share the stories that deserve to be heard.
And then goes from there.
No machines, huh?
No machines. Well, our county is pretty small. In Kentucky, our counties are really small. So,
Wow. How many registered voters do you have in your county?
I'm not quite sure, but I mean, Kentucky's a pretty small state, and I know we have anywhere from 120 to 122 counties.
Okay.
So the registered voters in our county would be pretty small.
Minimal.
Yeah, pretty small.
But then you may not need machines. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't do that anymore here.
I mean, if you lived in Lexington or Louisville, that'd be a different story because those are metropolitan.
Gotcha.
But the rest of the cities and counties, they're all pretty small.
Do you have 2 weeks of early voting?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, Trump's trying to remove that. We do too, obviously, but he's trying to remove that. The problem is if you remove it, you're going to have some big old long lines, and especially if the weather's inclement weather, nobody's going to vote. If it's pouring down raining, they're not going to stand in no line to vote, you know?
Right.
So there's pros and cons in all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's convenient for people. You'd want it to be easy for people to want to vote.
Right.
Giving them the option to vote early versus having to do it at the last minute, it would help.
How about mail-in ballots? You guys have mail-in ballots?
I don't think so. I think they did away with mail-in ballots here. I'm not sure.
Really?
I have to ask Brianne because we never did that.
Okay.
I don't think that's right, honestly, because there's too much cheating.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah, we do have it. Matter of fact, the commissioners, which were mostly Democrats, they were going to mail a mail-in ballot to every registered voter. Oh my God! Somebody put a stop to that real quick.
Yeah.
You only get one if you're over 65, in the military. There's 2 or 3 other options that you can have, but there's prerequisites. You know, you got to have to get a mail-in ballot, and you got to ask for one. You got to mail in and say, "Send me a mail-in. This is my exemption or whatever." So yeah, there's a lot of. Oh my God!
You might be old, but you should still be alive at least to get one.
Exactly right. And you shouldn't live in a PO box.
Yes.
Some of our friends got on TV and they said, "You see this PO box behind me? We found 800 and 300, whatever it was, registered voters with it living in this PO box." So yeah, it's and then what they do is harvesting, as they call it. They go to old folks' home, and these poor folks they need to vote. Yeah. But they go around and say, "Let me have your ballot." And who do you want? You want Trump or you want Biden or whatever, and I'll take care of it for you. Well, they go bring them in their car. They got trunks full of ballots, and they fill them out how they want to fill them out. It's just, you're right. Probably not the best thing to do.
Right.
But like this guy asked me on that podcast, he said, Joe, he goes, he basically what he said is your team prepared to take care of this or to reduce or eliminate the cheating that these people do? And that's when I gave him the comment, look, my job is to talk about what I'm going to do to make your neighborhood safer. It's not about the cheating issue. That's somebody else's job.
Right.
And that's what I told him. Yeah, God is going to figure all that out. Okay. I want people to hear from Joe Danna and what he has to say from his heart type thing. And that's when he said, well, okay. He said, I understand you're a religion guy or whatever he said, but it worked out okay. It was a good podcast.
Yeah. Your number one concern is law enforcement and protecting community and, protecting and serving. Obviously the voting and all that stuff, that is a job for, unfortunately, a politician.
Yeah.
Somebody with integrity, obviously. But
yeah. You hope.
That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to the public and to your deputies.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's the way I believe anyway.
Yeah.
If you focus on them, they'll spread the word. Okay. Yeah. Hey, this is the guy we need.
Right.
He's not interested in politics. He's interested in us, and he's going to get some things changed in the right direction,
Right.
So it's like those DOs, 150 DOs that said, we're walking out. And I know a lot of ditching officers that was behind me, but it just didn't happen. Didn't happen.
That's crazy. Well, hopefully, they can remedy that problem, at least until you get back, get into office, because you definitely need detention officers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're an integral part in law enforcement, as far as I'm concerned.
Especially under the sheriff, because that's his job. That's his responsibility. Number one is the jail.
Right.
We have 3 huge jails down here. Like I said, 10,000, and they're all hitting the limit, and they're and it's a crying shame that they turn loose. Over 200 families have lost a loved one here in Harris County by convicted felons that they've let out on bond that has killed again. Over 200 families. There's organizations that have pictures of them on charts, and they go up trying to give them some kind of presence of mind. Oh my God, these poor kids, but there's so much involved in all that. So the judges, it needs to be changed, but a lot of it has nothing to do with the sheriff. And that's what I tell them. People ask, what are you going to do about all these prisoners, all these convicted felons they're letting out? They, meaning the judge. Well, that's not my job. Right. We need to be transparent about what's going on. Another question I get a lot, Rico, is how are you going to motivate your deputies to go out and do thousands of hours or hundreds of hours of investigations on somebody? You finally snatch them up, put them in jail. You got good charges, and the DA takes charges, and then let them go on a bond, $100, all that time. You know what I mean? Well, again, you have to preach to your guys. That's not our job. Your job is to do your work, snatch them up, and put them in jail. Speaking of that, that's another issue we have in Harris County, but the outlying counties do not. And that is, we have to call the district attorney to accept charges. Well, that doesn't make sense. Why do you have to let the courts and the judges and the lawyers worry about that? Snatch them. If you got probable cause, you pick them up, you snatch them up, put them in jail, and let the court system take care of it. You know what I mean? Right. You shouldn't have to get an opinion on an intake ADA, which is what we have to do. But the outline, you snatch them up, you put them in the back seat, you put them in jail, and let the system take care of it. That's not your job. But we have to call the DA. I always pose that question to district attorneys that are candidates that are running for district attorneys.
Yeah.
I said, would you ever consider, would you ever consider not these law enforcement agencies, these 75, not calling the DA to accept charges? And every one of them just kind of stop and look around like, that's what we've done for years. You know what I mean? Well, Joe, Montgomery County doesn't do it. Fort Bend doesn't do it. Why are we doing it?
Right.
They don't have a good answer. We've done it for years. You do something wrong for so many years. That's what we've done. So that should not take place. That's crazy. You arrest somebody for being for anything. You put them in your back seat as you're trying to figure out whether the DA is going to take charges. You call them assault, aggravated assault, ag assault. You put them in your back seat. The DA don't take charges. Well, I don't know. You did this, did it. You're not going to take. I got to go uncuff this guy and let him go. Well, yeah, you don't have enough probable cause for us to convict him. My God, you talk about morale. What do you think that does to morale for the cops?
Right.
Crazy. But I don't know if that'll ever change. I really think it might, since we have adjacent counties that do it that way. And that's where all the thugs are. That's why when they're on the borderline of Harris County and Montgomery County. Hey, let's get over there to go rob somebody or aggravate something. Rob a store or a bank. We're not going to do this in Montgomery County. We're going to do it in Harris County. Right. And they all know that. That needs to change. A lot of things need to change.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it reminded me of something that Mark had said when he had taken over the sheriff's department in Pinal County. He went and posed a question to his deputies and asked them why they did things the way they did. And they said it's because it was the way we always did it. And he goes, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So when we come back in here, don't tell me that this is your answer. This is not your answer. Give me a specific reason. And if you don't have one, things are going to change.
Perfect. I wonder if their DA had to be called before they.
I don't know.
I ought to text him one day and ask him. But he's keeping his name out there. He's all over social media. He got tons of followers, and he's still doing a lot of good stuff. So I don't know what his plans are in the future, but he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's got a program out. It's called 10-7.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the podcast, and we did an ad for him on the podcast too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I created an ad for him. Me and my wife, we created an ad. I did the music for it, and she did the script, and I read the script and I put the music together for it. So, is that Brienne? Yeah.
Okay. I got something from her that I said, I wonder if that's his wife.
Yeah, Brienne.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
She's the backbone of this whole operation. So.
I kind of figured that. Well, speaking of wives, I was married for nearly 50 years, 3 months before the 2020 election, as if I had room for anything in my life other than, the election. My wife passed away with a heart attack here at the house. I've been here 26 years. It was brutal. We were married 48 years. We would have been married 50, 2 years later, but she didn't make it. But God had bigger plans. And we had a 12-year-old daughter. We adopted our great niece at 2 months old. And I have two older daughters, 45 and 41. All three of them are great kids. But Kaylee was here, the youngest, and she saw her on the ground. It was horrible. She said, Dad, Mom's on the ground. And EMS swarmed this house within 5 minutes. Had 12, EMS folks here, but it was crazy. But so yeah, she's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. One of the reasons. Yeah, she was the teacher. She's the one that I told you. One of these trolls. He's just a rich guy, $4 million house, and his wife doesn't work. She's a teacher. That's just give me that keyboard. Give me that. No.
Just back with a fire.
Yeah, crazy. But that's something else to go through that. But we all have our challenges, that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have our challenges and pitfalls. It's just a matter of how we get up and dust ourselves off and move forward.
Yeah. How we choose to do. Yeah. We could choose one road or we could choose the clean road, like you're doing. So get help, whatever it takes. And so many people need that help. Woo.
Exactly.
So many people.
A lot, I mean, with dealing with my cousin, I could be a bitter, sour person about this and, just be angry. But this is how I chose to deal with the grief, is to help.
Yeah, help others.
In his honor.
Perfect. Yeah, when you get to those golden gates, you're not going to be jumping over them. You're going to be going right through them.
Right through.
Somebody's going to be there to come on in, Rico. It's all yours.
Yeah,
job well done.
That's all I want to do is help people, help our first responders, if your deputies have any problems or anything, we just want to help people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have an organization too. The foundation that we started that we're trying to build up to help first responders get either mental health help or, deal with mental health awareness, or to get new first responders schooling, help pay for their schooling or whatever they need. And also to help juvenile offenders, get on the right path.
Yeah, good.
So that they can change their outlook, either, if they can qualify, if they don't have a serious crime or anything like that. If they want to be a first responder, we can help them do that. Or if they need mental health counseling, we can help them do that as well.
What's the name of the organization?
William H. Bill Butler Jr. Foundation.
Oh, really? Well, I think I've seen that on your social media. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's huge. Huge. One of our plans to help the PTSI or PTSD injuries is to create a 501c that we're going to get a ton of people. I know a lot of wealthy folks here. I'm not, but I know a lot of them. And I have a good idea they will contribute to this to help first responders. Okay. Yeah. The department won't have to pay for it. It'll be an independent type. I know tons of psychiatrists and psychologists being in law enforcement, and I got 2 or 3 specifically that would love to do that. Of course, they're doing it for pay, but you raise money and you put it out there. Like I say, it's how you present it to the public. We need help to help our first responders. They're taking care of you and your families, and they're going through some awful injuries in their life and their job. So, we're going to have that all set up to where they're going to be able to go there at no charge. Okay. Yeah. The Harris County doesn't do anything for that right now. Nothing. Get back to work. You got calls to make,
Right.
Ridiculous.
They should get some kind of assistance when dealing with that kind of thing.
Yeah. Support.
Post-traumatic stress, it's a real thing.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of veterans. Matter of fact, I got a lot of friends that have associations or organizations for veterans doing T-shirts and just all kinds of. There's a female that she's a huge supporter. She wants me to go to everything, veteran associated. And I said, Kim, I can't go to everything. I like to go to them, but she said, well, you need to go to this and that. But she's just huge in that realm. Yeah.
Right.
She goes to the legislature and speak out on laws that need to be passed to help veterans. So, there's tons of them out there, but you got to hone them down. You got to focus them on Harris County deputies. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least as a sheriff.
Right.
That's what they need. They lose their family. They lose touch with their families and kids. That's the first thing that happens, And then it's their job. Then they don't. Then they can't figure out what they're supposed to do in their job. They go to a scene. They got family disturbance. Oh my God! And they're fighting with their family.
Yeah.
And you send these cadets. They're not cadets, but you send these new folks just got out of the academy. 18, 19, 20, 22. What do they know about domestic violence? Yeah, they studied it 6 months in the academy, but my God, you know what I mean? That's a huge step. That's a huge challenge for them.
Right.
So they need help. They need support. They get there to see somebody all beat up, and it's A lot needs to be done, and thank God you're doing it. You're doing your part, and I feel like I'm doing mine.
Exactly. We all need to do our parts. It's important for everybody to do their part, especially when it comes to this and helping people in our country, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
If we're helping you guys with your situations, it would help you become better at what you do and take the stress off of you so that you can help the community in a better way. So if you have healthier deputies, they can handle a situation a lot better than they would have if they're not healthy.
With the support. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And that's obviously what they need, especially this day and time with all the police hate going on.
Exactly.
You got a badge on, you got a gun, you got a badge and a uniform, all of a sudden you're the devil, you're the demon.
Right.
Oh my God. Things have changed. But you have to adapt. You have to adapt. CIT calls down here, mental health calls. We have division, at least they have it in Harris County, but HPD does a good job with their CIT calls, crisis intervention.
Yes.
You get there, you don't pull a gun out, you talk them down type thing, unless of course you feel like you're imminent commission of serious bodily injury or death. That's different. That's a different animal altogether. But the CIT calls, you get there, you talk to them. Oh my God, so many calls with CIT, mental health. But the county, like I said earlier, they are not spending money on mental health. It's a joke. It is. They go buy $50 million worth of trees, and sidewalks to make neighborhoods better and supposedly safer. They spent $4 million, Rico, to do a crime analysis to see where the crime's coming from in Harris County. Oh my God. What do you have to do that for? All you got to do is run your numbers, your cost for. It's all politics and it's all money and it's horrible.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
But I'm just doing my little part. I get in there and I let these 5,000 or 4,500, whatever. I let them know that I'm about them and I appreciate them. And that snowball will roll big time. That snowball will get bigger and bigger every day. I guarantee you, people want to be appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, you show your deputies appreciation, if you treat them good and you show them the respect and you show them that you have their back, money won't matter to them.
As much. That's right.
I mean, I've seen it before, like I've taken jobs, like I got a job now. It doesn't pay as good as I could get.
Mm-hmm.
But I stay with them because they treat me with respect and they give me, leeway and they love having me around, but they don't treat me like an employee.
Yeah.
Like a slave.
Your family.
Yes.
Like family.
Exactly. So that's why I stay.
That's perfect. That's what these deputies need, or the employees. They need to feel like, and I don't say family, you could use the term, the word family, but it's really a team. You're part of this team, okay? It's not he against she or he against he or whatever. You're part of the family. You're part of the team.
Right.
And you have to push that. You have to talk about that. What are you doing treating this guy like this for? You're on the same team. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Exactly.
It's common sense. I'm telling you, it's common. I've been to, when I was in the film developing business, as I mentioned earlier, for 26 years, Eastman Kodak sent me to tons of management schools. And unfortunately, that's where I learned all of my managing skills, not all, the majority of my managing skills. Okay. And it wasn't in law enforcement. You get in law enforcement and you start looking around and scratching your head and saying, oh my God, and you start, there ain't no management here. You know what I mean? So and it evolves around what we're just talking about: transparency and accountability, and appreciation. Yeah. You could go get a job making $500,000 a year. If you got chewed out every day you went in, that check is going to get smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
But why they don't do it, I don't know. You tell me. Why doesn't the sheriff get on that bandwagon? You know what I mean? What they do is they put websites on their cars, get a job, or log into something about a website to get a job. Sheriff's Department, Harris County Sheriff's Office.org. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They think they're going to get people to law. Oh, I need to go become a sheriff. It's crazy. It's crazy. Waste of time.
Yeah. Well, you can't get people hired on if they don't respect you.
You have the very first step, as I mentioned, you have to earn respect amongst the troops first before you're going to earn respect from the public.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to. And respect, and I learned this in management schools, respect is actually a given. It's earned, but it's actually starts out as a given. The President of the United States, no matter who's in there, you respect him. Okay. Whatever you respect him. The manager or the CEO of a company, you respect him. You do earn respect. So the sheriff, most people respect him just because he's a sheriff. Just because he got over 51% of the votes, they respect him. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean he's capable of running a sheriff's department. It's crazy, but that's what it is. But we have to earn the respect of each other first. We really do. It's crazy.
Yeah. Earning respect is very important when you're dealing with a situation like that. Leadership, leadership is just more than telling people what to do. Leadership is something that you earn the respect of your deputies and the people that are under you.
And there's a key word there going along with what you're saying, and it's called listening.
Yes.
Listen to them. Go out there and talk to the deputies on the streets. What do we need to do to clean this up? What do we need to do to fix this? Nobody ever asks them. You know what I mean? They're the ones that come to me and say, Joe, man, this mental health thing, when they're out of pills and they're out of food, they do something illegal, so they get arrested and they're going to sit 3 squares a day, and they get their medication. They send them to HCPC. You go talk to the deputies to find out what the heck's going on the streets. They don't listen. They don't listen. It's crazy. Tell me what's going on, Sarge or Lieutenant, when you're talking.
Right. That way you can address the issue.
Effectively.
Yes.
Yeah.
Effectively.
I hear that echo again now. I don't know what it is. When I said effectively, I said it twice. Maybe that's a good thing.
So remember that. Effectively.
That's right. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to get started. Again, the crazy situation we find ourselves in with her stepping down, the judge. If she steps down, they're going to put because the politicians feel like that Ed can't be beat next year if he runs for judge. Everybody loves him. Everybody votes for him. He's a nice guy, and that's the reason a lot of people vote for people. So if that takes place, we've got election coming up in March, primary, and then next year in 26, the midterm, as they call it. I'll be going up for sheriff again.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hopefully you're in and you earn that respect from people and you get that notoriety so that they can trust you enough to want to keep voting for you.
If nothing else, vote for me so they don't have to look at my billboards anymore. Get that guy down there. We've left him up for 8 years. You can do that legally here as long as your campaign sign is attached to a fixed structure, a building, a fence, whatever. Of course, and this is something else I do not do. And everybody I know does it. They put their signs anywhere and everywhere. Side of the freeway, they see a fence that it's highly traveled roadway. They go put their sign up. You get these people that call you, hey, Joe, I can put up signs for $5 a piece. I said, do you have permission from the property owner? No. I said, nobody does that. I said, no, somebody does do that. I have a database, a name, a cell phone number, and a contact and an address. Every location, we had hundreds of signs out there. And I didn't play that game. You know what I mean? There's just so many things I do that why I keep running second place, I think. But I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. It's integrity. You do the right thing. You do it right, and you see what happens.
Right.
I don't mean to keep harping on that, but I guess I do.
Integrity is important, especially when this day and age, there is no integrity. It seems like it's
thing of the
less
past.
and less.
Yeah. Especially in law enforcement. I mean, oh my God. If you can't trust a cop, and there's a small percentage of cops that shouldn't be cops, whether it's 5%, 10%, 20%, 0.0001%, whatever it is, that needs to stop. And they need out. And I've got a way to get them out. Okay? There's going to be zero bad cops.
Right.
Zero.
Yeah.
So
there are bad apples.
Yeah. In every business.
But, you address them when they come. It's sad because it puts law enforcement in a bad light when you have those bad apples, whether it's on the street or in the jails.
Yeah. Good cops don't like bad cops.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you've heard that a million times, and it's true. So you got to get rid of it.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. And if you got to get rid of them, you got to clean house.
Yeah.
Drain the swamp.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
Drain the swamp.
Crazy.
So I just had one last question for you. When people reflect on your time in office, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave as Sheriff Joe Danna?
Pretty much everything you talked about, we've talked about. This guy was true to his word. He did what he said he was going to do, and that's so important. It's so important to my daughters, my family, and friends, that know me. I knew Uncle Joe did this. I knew he would do it. I knew Dad would do it. I knew cousin Joe Danna. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the legacy, doing the right thing. Okay. Integrity. Yeah, it goes to all those other acronyms, but that's it. Joe fought for it. You know what? We're hearing tons of words, speeches now that, oh my God, I can't think of the guy that just got shot. I can't think of his name because I followed him.
Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, Charlie, that's horrible. Charlie Kirk, I heard him say the other day, I hear a lot of stuff, everybody does. I heard him say something the other day. He said, everybody needs to get involved to make a change. Now, it may not happen the first year, the second year. It may take you 5 years. It may take you 10 years. Don't give up. Okay? Well, it's taken me 8 years so far. He's right. Don't quit. Join a school board. Join something and make a difference. Well, that's what Joe Danna wants to do. He wants to leave this world. My God. Sheriff Danna said that. And that's exactly what he set this up. So yeah, that would be the legacy, but I got to get in there first. I will have a legacy as I'm a sergeant now, but as a peace officer, 32 years, because I've done a lot of good things for a lot of good people, even bad people. I spend more time keeping people out of jail now than I do putting them in. It's crazy, but they need help. They need help from law enforcement, and I'm there to help them no matter what it takes. I have a very good rapport with the NFL, National Football League, and the Houston Texans chose me 25 years ago when they bought their franchise to provide police motorcycle escorts for them, and I've done it for them for 25 years, and all the visiting teams that come to town. I've got a huge rapport with all these billionaire owners and all the teams and all the Secret Service agents that they hire to protect them. You know what I mean? So I've got a pretty good reputation with these folks. They call me all the time for law enforcement issues. You need this, need that. And that's, at this point, that would be my legacy. helping others. What do you need? Helping others. Keeping people out of jail, okay? Now, running the sheriff's department is a lot different. So I hope I get that chance. I hope I do. But we'll see. How about you? How about your legacy?
Just knowing that I stand by my faith and that I am helping people. I am giving back to the community. Being
Perfect.
selfless.
Yeah.
For others, and I'm not doing this for any other reason other than to help first responders in honor of my cousin, obviously, but
Yeah.
that's the only selfish thing I have, is to honor him.
Oh, that's great. That's
Other
great.
than that, I work a full-time job and we run the foundation. We do the podcast, we make merchandise. We partnered up with other people to make their merchandise. We're helping other first responders get their podcasts going. So we're kind of like, more than a podcast.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. You're there. People know you're there. You just need to you need to advertise. You need to have what you're doing, but more and more people need to know about you.
Right. Yeah. And another thing that we do have going is Brianne has a course on her perspective on life. It's a life coaching academy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a course that I'm building that I'm doing basically the same thing from my perspective on life coaching to help people dealing with certain challenges in life and try to help them put a different perspective on their way of thinking instead of being a negative, trying to turn a negative into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Change your frame of thinking, that kind of thing.
Well, you're using your experiences to do that.
Yes, because I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or anything like that, a therapist. I'm just using my personal experiences and what I've dealt with in life and taking those and applying that to what I'm doing, to the life coaching course, which there's a wealth of experience there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A lot of experience.
I'm sure.
48 years of experience, a lot of lived experiences from when I was young.
Yeah.
My life wasn't all peaches and roses. You know what I mean? We grew up with nothing. And, I was in trouble a lot as a kid too. So, but going from being a knucklehead to being somebody who is somewhat successful, it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could change your way of thinking, your frame of mind, anything's possible. It's just about what do you want to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
What's your silver lining? There's always something bad happens. There's always a silver lining, and you either choose to be negative about that situation or you choose to take that situation and turn it into a positive.
That's right. Your decision, your choice.
Right.
It's like you talk to kids, you can make good choices, you make bad choices.
Right.
And you suffer the consequences.
Right. So every negative decision or every positive decision has a consequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either a negative consequence or a positive consequence.
That's right. Yeah, then let's go with the you're going to learn over a period of time the positive consequences is the route to go.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're going to feel better about yourself by helping X amount of folks out there.
Right.
You know?
That's something else I'd like to do, is try to do public speaking for people. And it's some of it like in jails and stuff to help some of the guys that are eligible to get out that don't have the ability to change their mindset or just don't feel like they have a way out.
Mm-hmm.
To let them know that you do have a way out. There is a different life that you can have, and you don't have to go back to the same mindset that you had when you got in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can change that. You have the ability to change that. It's just a matter of figuring out what you want in life as opposed to what you know in life.
Well, they need help from you or someone to do that. Along those lines, real quick, I want to mention, now that you've mentioned that, I was asked 4 or 5 years ago before COVID to a Toastmasters. You talk about public speaking. It was for prisons, the Texas prisons. The guy that started it, he didn't start it, but he was in charge of it. He asked me to go talk to prisoners, inmates. Oh my God, at prisons. I've never been inside a prison. It's crazy. And they had 20 or 30. They get this U-shaped table, and you get in there and talk to them, and you learn more listening. I said a while ago, you learn more by listening to these folks. Oh, yeah. After I spent 2 hours in there, me and some other folks talking to them, man, they started writing, months later, they started writing me letters. Sergeant Danna, you did that. So, and the reason they have that course for Toastmasters, the recidivism rate went from 67% to 3% in Texas prison.
Wow. That's
yeah. Huge. They get them ready. Everything you just said, they get them ready to get out there and function in society when they get out. Crazy. Right. But, man, walking in a prison, it was so funny. When the first one I went to, he said, now, Joe, don't bring anything but a pair of pants, T-shirt, and your driver's license and shoes. Right. I said, okay. And I get there. Oh, my God. Rico, it was crazy. I get there. True story. And I'm bare necessity. I got my driver's license. And there's a guard shack straight upstairs. And this guy, the guard, he a rope. He brings out a bucket. You know, you think high tech, maybe thumbprints or whatever. He brings out a bucket. He said, hey, you got an ID? I said, yes, sir. I was concerned that I might have missed a court date when I was 16 or something. I put my license in there, and he pulls it up there, and you're good to go. I said, thank you. And you walk in there, and you hear this big old bang, you know, the doors, and you go through another one, and you hear. I said, man, I can get out of here, okay? It's just crazy, but you get a little comfortable once you're in there, and you do these people a lot of good, but they do me a lot of good too. But anyway, you get them ready to face the challenges of society. What you just said. Right. What you just said. If I get elected, you need to come down and talk to our inmates. They got 10,000 of them, okay? I
would be happy to do that.
I wish you would.
I have a wealth of experience in that area. But in my mind and my logic and experiences that we all know that a lot of inmates are going to get out. Okay. What would you rather have? An inmate that has no hope for anything in life and continues to be a criminal? Or would you rather have somebody who is healthy, who has goals, who is driven, who has hope for their future, who wants to do good for themselves, that sort of thing?
Of course.
That's how my mind works.
Yeah. There's no question. Yeah, that's and they need it. There's a lot of them. Oh, we got 10,000 here. You know. Yeah. You know who they bring here? I don't remember his name. He was a rapper. They bring him in there, and he's high-fiving people. And what the hell are you bringing a rapper in here for? But PR. But they need to bring someone like you in there to talk to these folks, you know? That's really what they need.
Exactly.
But keep that in the back of your mind. I just planted a seed, so if it happens, it happens. Crazy.
You know what? We'll be watching out for you, and then you'll probably be getting a call from you like, hey.
You won, didn't you? First place.
First place.
All right.
Yeah, I would definitely be willing to do that. And, because we're about helping people. And so, we want a healthier country as well.
Yeah. And, well, that would promote your business and your podcast and all your other organizations you deal with. And, Yeah.
Absolutely. We're always
I can't thank you enough for having me as a guest. Again, when you asked me, I said, yeah, I'd be glad to, but I'm not a hero. I've seen your guests and they are heroes. Traffic stops and the crazy thing they've done. And you know what I mean? I'm not a hero at all, but I've done a lot of good stuff for a lot of people. And I continue to do that.
Well, the way we see it is that everybody's voice matters.
That's right.
Everybody's voice matters because, whether it's a new deputy or a seasoned deputy, everybody has a story and everybody has their own experiences from their perspective. And it's something that somebody will relate to and always take away from.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So
May not
somebody's
be
gonna-
all of them, but it'll be a small percentage or maybe a large percentage that will. Yeah,
Exactly.
good way to look at it. It's true. Crazy.
Exactly. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we get off of here and let
I
you
don't
go?
believe so. The only thing, if I can make a pitch, maybe anybody interested in going to the website, I've got my whole life there. Danna, Danna for sheriff. Very few people. We do get traffic there, but especially when we do e-blast, we do text messaging, and we do e-blast emails, and we try to keep. We don't do it very often, but we do it enough to keep the attention, and we have very minimal unsubscribed. So, but Danna for sheriff would be good if you and sign up. There's one of the tabs you sign up, give us your name and email. We'll keep you updated. You can do the same thing, but you're already in it, so I added you to our database, so you're good. You don't have to do that. But if your listening audience would like to do that, Danna for sheriff, and sign up,
Okay.
I'd appreciate that. But that's about it. Just keep in touch, and I'll keep in touch with you as well.
Okay. Do you take donations or anything like that, or is that not something that the sheriffs do? I don't know.
Oh yeah, we take whatever you want, and there's no limit.
Contributions for
The campaign contributions. Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody, it doesn't matter where they are in the country, if they want to.
Correct. Donate. There's a donate tab up there. I didn't make it very prevalent like some people do. Get a big old donate. It's just one of the tabs up there. It's a pretty clean. It's a very clean website.
Okay.
It's got a little video I've made of my wife and our 48 years in there. Nobody ever watches that. It's 40 minutes long, but I did take time to create it, and it's not professional. I did it myself, but it's nice. Everybody that's seen it likes it. But yeah, and my whole life is there on the website, pretty much. Crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for anybody who can vote, that is in his district or however that works.
County. Yeah.
The county.
If you're registered in Harris County, you can vote. But you know what I tell people that say, you know what, Joe, I'm registered in Montgomery or Fort Bend. I said, look, I'd rather have a prayer than a vote. It's more powerful. Oh, well, I can do that. That's all I want. Say a little prayer, but I keep passing freaking politicians and stay in the hunt, yeah, a prayer is more important than a vote. I tell them all the time. So if they can vote, obviously do. But if they can't, I'll take the prayer.
Okay, that's awesome. And also, you guys, anybody that's listening, you can go onto his website and to contribute to his campaign if you'd like. And obviously, if you're in his county, he's a great person to vote for. Great integrity. He has a mission. He wants to bridge the gap with his deputies and also with the community and deal with mental health issues. So I think that's wonderful. That's a wonderful mission. And there needs to be a lot more of that. And hopefully you can get in there and tackle the human trafficking issue.
Yeah. A lot of help. They need a lot of help down here.
Yeah. And hopefully we can have some more help down at the border.
Yeah. Yeah, we're right in the middle of that, aren't we? Woo. But that's turned around. You know that.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of federal help down there now. They closed it up and pretty much. So I'll talk to people.
Yeah.
Do what?
That's a good thing.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, look, I appreciate it very much. Keep in touch. You got everything you need from me, I believe. Text number, phone number, address.
Absolutely. Yep.
If you ever find yourself in Texas, especially Houston, Harris County, give me a call.
Will do. Will do. You never know. We're doing conferences, so we're going to conferences, so you never know.
Give my name and number.
Yeah, I got it right here.
All right, very cool. Thank you so much. God bless you and Brianne.
Yeah, thank you very much. God bless you. Have a wonderful night, and we'll be rooting for you, pulling for you, and hopefully we'll see you in that sheriff's office.
I hope so. Thank you so much. You take
Have
care.
a good night. You too.
You too.
All right, that was Joe Danna. He's running for sheriff in Harris County. Great man. He's built with a lot of integrity. He definitely wants to bridge the gap. He had a great story. We definitely had some conversation. It's a little bit out of the norm of what we usually do, but given the situation, I felt that it was appropriate. But we did touch on some mental health issues and some other things that he felt like needed to be addressed, especially in his area. And it's important. It's important for everybody to know. It's important for people to know what goes on in other places so that you can see what goes on in this country. Keeps us informed, and it keeps us knowing that there are people out there like Joe that have integrity and want to make change. We all want to make change. We want to be a part of that. We want to affect change. Just like here at the podcast, we want to be more than just a podcast. We want to help affect change, and with great strides, we're trying to do that. It's slow in the beginning. It is tough, but we keep pushing forward. We keep doing what we're doing, and we are going to be successful in our mission. So I didn't mean to make that about podcasts or anything like that. I just wanted to give a shout out to Joe and thank him and appreciate him for standing up, stepping up, and being the man that he is. We need more leaders that are willing to step up and do the right thing. With that, this 8158 podcast. Thank you all for showing up, and keep tuning in. All right, everyone. Good night, and God bless.
Thank you for joining us on 8158 Stories of Sacrifice. Every story we share is a tribute to the courage and resilience of first responders and their families. If this episode impacted, encouraged, or inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who supports first responders. Follow us on all social media platforms at 8158 Podcast for updates. 8158 Stories of Sacrifice is a team effort. Rico brings the stories to life through casting, writing, original music, and editing. Brianne Shipley as production manager, handling booking, social media, graphics, promotion, marketing, website management, and logo design. Please visit our website at 8158podcast.com. For questions, collaborations, or to share your story, our email address is contactus@8158podcast.com. Until next time, let's continue to honor the legacies and remember the sacrifices of those who serve, every brave man and woman on the front lines, protecting and defending us all. This is Rico signing off and honoring 8158.